Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, we are doing some music. We're gonna do some music and show with a show. Let me share this awesome post. I'm gonna share this to make it public so that everybody can see this. Oh, I just shared that. Oh well, whatever. I'm gonna edit this really quick. People are hearing all the magic that's happening right now. Behind all the behind the scenes music, magic. Hey, let's get to the real stuff. What's up, everybody? Oh, oi, that was a good one. It is I, Dalibor, and this is my lovely co-host and the star of the show, Ellie. Eliana, Ellie, however you want to say it. Welcome to this episode of 2020. Big giant shout out
our big shot VIP Jordon.
Our big shot VIP Jordon. Thank you again, Jordon. Please remember to check out our Patreon to also become a big shot VIP. Patreon.com/Dalibor. Subscribe. Anything you can do helps us out. It helps us pay for like the hosting and lights and stuff, so that this looks halfway decent, which is always a good thing. All right. A very cool show today, Ellie. Very cool show today. We have a very special guest, and I'm going to announce him in a second here. I've been friends with him for ages, and I got to say that having him on the show has been it's a good. I don't want to say a dream of mine, because that'd be sad for him, honestly. But it's been awesome. It's been something I've been looking forward to. My good friend, let me go to this right here. We're welcoming the very first ever SVADBA Sunday. There it is, SVADBA Sunday, and she just makes her disappearance. Bye, Ellie. See ya. SVADBA Sunday with my friend, Tony. How's it going, my good friend?
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Good. Hello, my friend. I don't have my drink with me, unfortunately. I forgot to grab a drink.
SVADBA Sunday, man. We gotta have a drink.
I got. I'll get a shot. Ellie, bring me a shot of. Oh, just kidding.
Oh, that's bad.
She's not a bartender yet. Tony, how is it going, my man? It is so good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. It's sad that we have to see each other under these circumstances.
Yeah.
But considering today was Sunday, I just thought it was a great thing to do when got a hold of me. I got a hold of you, whatever.
Yep.
SVADBA Sunday, man. I was supposed to be playing the wedding tonight.
Yep.
Here we are.
Here we are, man. Go figure. Things are not like they were, like we would have planned them like 2 months ago, right?
Let me commend you on thinking of this and doing this to get a few people or a bunch of people, whatever, together, our people, you know what I mean? And just have a laugh and kind of sit back and relax and laugh at my drums behind me and, stuff, because I don't have room, so they're on my desk.
They're not staged whatsoever. I guarantee
that's how I keep them all the time, I swear.
Well, Tony, it's so awesome to have you on here, man. We're gonna have a good time chatting about the old days. Absolutely. Although it's not necessarily the old. I gotta stop saying the old days. We're just gonna chat because chatting is good.
Previous days.
The previous days. Thank you. The previous days. Yeah, I'm trying to play some stuff here. That's okay. So we have an awesome. We go back a long time. Yes. I've known you since. My parents knew you.
Yes.
I don't want to say before I was born, but they knew they know your parents.
Families know family.
Go back, and we've played a lot of events together. We've helped each other out in all kinds of ways, all kinds of times. And you're constantly helping me out, and I can't thank you enough for every time messaging me, Dalibor. Hey, there's a gig coming up. I think you'd be perfect for it. Thanks. So always thanking you, Tony. But yeah, we go back a long way.
So that's what friends are for, man. And when someone's good at what they do, and you're a good person, got a good heart, you take care of those people first.
Likewise.
I would think so. So then we get into the story. I know we want to talk about this story.
All kinds of stories, man.
You gotta remind me because my mind's a little.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's start before we get into that story.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's start with Spase says, "What's up, gentlemen?"
Hello, Spase.
Hello, Spase. Let's start with a brief explanation for people that maybe don't know you, because there's a lot of folks that are watching that aren't a part of our scene.
Okay.
Who are you? And how did you get into music? And what do you do now? Like, tell me this story.
Wow. How much time you got? Just to make it quick. I guess apparently when I was a little kid, even though my parents don't have any musical talent, as far as I know, my mom used to sing. She said back in the old days in the old country, in the Neva, gathering flowers, whatever. All the ladies would sing. And I give her some credit for my musical talent, but for whatever reason, some reason I got into. I love music. My dad always had our music playing back. I don't want to say what year it was, 70 something. Always had some, national music playing in the background and 8-tracks and records.
The 8-tracks. I just stopped by my parents' house. They're out of town. I stopped by my parents' house yesterday to grab something. Saw all the 8-tracks were still there. Yeah.
And apparently, from the stories I was told, I started destroying all the pots and pans with wooden spoons.
Great.
Yes, that was my first thing. That was my first intention of playing the drums. Then they got me every instrument I wanted. They got me the drums first, accordion, piano, you name it. I had it at home, and then I'd sneak. Did they see musical talent in you, or did they just say, "Oh, this kid just wants to make noise"? No, there was something there. There was something they noticed. I could play along to anything I was listening to.
Okay.
I never got taught anything professionally. I learned strictly on my own, and they said anytime I'd hear something on the radio, I'd play it. I'd go along and play it. So then that leads to me becoming, there's a few pictures out there of me at 3-4 years old. They brought the drum set to a wedding and just put it on the side of the stage because they knew the people getting married. Obviously, you don't just bring a drum set to someone's wedding. They just do it. There's a band on stage, and I could start talking about the old bands that I give a lot of credit to that influenced all of us, the bands in the 80s and the bands that were around when we started. I'd sneak drumsticks up my sleeve and my suit and just stand on the side of the stage and play with certain bands. Again, I owe it to a lot of our friends' parents who were in bands back in the 80s and 70s that were all the weddings, and that's where it all started. And then one day someone gave me a tupan like the one I have back here somewhere.
Right behind you,
and I've had a tupan since I was a little kid, and I fell in love with it. And then I started getting accordion lessons from someone. That's the only time I got lessons was on the accordion.
Really?
Yeah, I got lessons. If you remember a lady by the name of Tsana, she used to play the accordion. She used to come and give me lessons.
She was a legend locally. Yeah,
absolutely. And so I learned from her the accordion, and it stretched out to the piano. I learned how to play piano, keyboard. And then
it just opened it up to all the different types of instruments that you
opened it up. Anything I touched, I tried. And then in the 90s, early 90s, I was about 16 years old, and these guys were like, dude, let's form a band, So we started getting together in the basement, playing, back then it was Yugoslavian music.
Sure.
And, I found my passion. I found my calling, and we just went on from there. And I haven't stopped. I haven't been in a band since 1990.
Wow. So that's trying to add up the long time. Let's just say a long time. Yeah.
Too many years. I should have stopped. Too many years. But you know what? With our music and with every music, local music, everything, American music, everything's in waves. There was a time where everything was electronic. The keyboards, everything was played with a drum machine. I kind of veered away from the drums, and I was playing the keyboard for a while, drum machine and everything. And then switched back to drums. And then now, if you notice with the tupan again behind me, everything's going back to old school.
Oh, wow.
So if you notice, there's more zurli, there's more,
You see more of the traditional instruments and
acoustic instruments, old school stuff. So it's going back to where I
Why do you think that is? Is it?
You know what? Music always kind of seems to find its level. Everything tries, you try something and then it's cool for a while. It's a fad, but you can't beat the original. And And right now, so many people with talent. I mean, if you go back 10, 12 years, there was barely anyone in America that was a musician that wasn't born here. You know what I mean? Most of them were born here like myself or played here or older. And then in the last 12, 14 years, let's say, just a slew of musicians came to America.
Yeah, that's true.
And we have a bunch
of ours,
friends of ours, amazing musicians, and that brought back what we grew up to. So you have the tupans, the tapani, as we say. You have the zurli, you have the gaidi, and it's very popular. And old school's always better. You know what I mean? It just it's in our blood, I believe.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, you can go listen to some cool music, but the old school stuff's the best.
There's just something about, and this is music is. We've always said it. Music is it transcends language and it transcends years, right?
Absolutely.
You hear a good beat,
Yep.
you almost don't care sometimes you don't care what those lyrics are because you're listening to the beat, you're dancing along. And a lot of the older songs, the reason I think that people love those older songs is those emotional connections we have to when we were younger, the first time we heard them. But those beats were very pure back then. And yeah, you still have a lot of great musicians, a lot of great artists coming up now. There's tons of them. I mean, there's more creativity now than maybe ever before because the tools and stuff are there. But those traditional instruments really force people to kind of hone in on the purity. And I think, for me, why I always love hearing live music. I mean, and you and I have talked about this before. Whenever someone calls me to be a DJ for a wedding, like for, oops, sorry, I'm just gonna throw stuff out there. Oh, hey, Bobby, how's it going? Live drummer will make a man, none better than this guy. That's true. That's true. Jimmy, how's it going, Jimmy? And I'm a DJ, right? And what people will call me for a wedding and say, hey, we want you for the wedding. I was like, okay, I could, I don't mind. It's my weekend gig, no big deal for me. For me, a DJ, and no matter how great of an MC I am, no matter how great I can hype up people, that's fantastic. I always want a band. I would always defer to. Have you looked at all the different bands out there before you come to me?
Right.
Because to me, bands make the experience completely different, right? And and when I've seen you guys perform, you guys in all the different band iterations that you've been, or even just you by yourself, even you as a DJ, when I've seen people like you perform, you change the songs based on how people are feeling and they're dancing. You don't just play the same chord over and over again. That's it. Song's done and over with. Right. Live music, you especially. I mean, you're a legend locally.
Thank you.
You're a legend internationally. What am I saying locally? It's international.
Oh, wow.
You're in tune with what people are, not just what they're asking for, what they're not asking for. You'll see someone, and you and I have talked about this. I have been on the stage with you. I'll be DJing some stuff. Your band will be playing, and you'll be like, Dalibor, come over here. I was like, come over here. And you're like drumming away, and it'll be just kind of like coming up to a drum solo. You'll be like, right, see that couple over there? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're like, watch how I get them to dance. What are you talking about? Watch how I get them to dance. I'm expecting you to start shouting names out. You started like playing something. I forget what it was. You're playing something, and all of a sudden they're dancing a little bit. How does this guy do it? So it's the live band can do that. DJs were great. We're great with huge music selections. I'm great. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm great with my mouth. Unfortunately, I talk too much as I'm doing right now.
That's what we're all here for. Yep.
But live music is just beautiful when it comes to getting people to experience stuff in different ways. There's Spots Again says Tony and the rest of 5-Star killed it at his wedding. Yep. I hope the back is doing all right, Tony.
Yeah, I've had some time to recover. What it is with our music, especially, everything is about your heart. Everything comes from the soul. If you're not doing it out of your heart, don't do it. Just don't do it. I mean, if you're up there pressing play on a CDJ or whatever on a computer, great. If you're doing it from the heart, it's great. Yeah. But everything that we do, and I'm lucky to be surrounded by, I hope they're listening right now, watching great musicians, and I always have been. I'm not going to pick anyone. I don't need to name anybody. Everyone I from the dudes, Tony back in the 90s, man. We had a crazy band. We had something going, and we were original and our own, and we partied. We were doing, I don't know if you remember, we were doing dance parties with live band every Friday night, every Saturday night for young people. And it was a different generation. It was crazy. And then, I went in another direction, went on the keyboard. And then again, with the drum, when I hit that thing behind me in a subdivision at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or Sunday morning,
everybody comes out.
It changes people's lives. I'm not trying to say I'm special. That's special, and anyone that knows how to do it, and there's a lot of people that know how to do it these days, to do that, and a lot of different nationalities get me as well. I probably play for about 8 or 9 different cultures, 8 or 9 different countries' music. It's special. It's a sound, and everybody wants to see what's going on. And then if you hear a saxophone or a zoodla or something going on in the background, people want to see what's going on in your neighborhood. Some guys get mad, but I don't care. Morning somewhere in Shelby Township or somewhere, I'm hitting the drum as loud as I can. You know what I mean? I love doing what I do, and again, it comes from the heart. So that's what makes it. That's why I know, like, if I can look at someone and I can say, if I do this way, they're gonna enjoy themselves, and I know what I'm doing. So that's what it is, man. Passion. It's all passion.
It's all passion. It's all passion. It's all about, having love for music and love for fellow musicians and being in tune with all those the people. I mean, they're a team. You guys are like, you guys, especially 5 Star and other bands. Yeah. You're a team. When you're on stage, you're constantly looking at each other, making sure I'm going to go, let me do this. You have these like nonverbal things too.
Sure,
Like
sure. It's knowing each other
in a specific way.
The guys now in 5 Star Band, we've been together 4 or 5 years straight. I mean, I don't want to call it a tour, but we just got back from Phoenix and Los Angeles and earlier this year. And we're a family. We are a musical family where,
sure.
I know what the next guy's thinking. You have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't get to practice all the time like other bands do. We all have lives. We all have kids. If a practice for us might be a phone call, you know what I mean? Hey, learn this song, and this is what we're going to do at this point. Or I'm emailing you a song or FaceTime or something. Mm-hmm. But it's family. The guys in the band with me right now, we are all a family. And it's knowing what the next person's going to do, knowing what's coming up next, knowing how to make, like you said, people enjoy themselves. It's part of who we are.
Oh man, totally. And there's nothing, to me, again, there's nothing better than live music. And I've been, when I see your band revving up music coming down the street, right? Because we park further down, we start going boom, 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 and everyone's like, people are peeking out of their, coming out of their doorways. What is that loud music? If I played I can tell you right now, if I set up my DJ equipment outside and started playing, I'd have the cops on me right away, and my neighbors would be screaming at me.
Yeah.
A live band brings a different.
It's a scene. It's a movie. Fun. Like we like to call it a movie. We're making a movie, and we want to be the next best thing. Every gig to us isn't like we got to play again. Come on, every gig to us is like, what can we do today to make us even better and more special than what we did last week? Because at that gig, there might be 10, 15, 20 people that are getting married in the next couple years.
Sure.
And we want to keep this going. We have kids. Hopefully we can pass it on to sooner or later, until, knock on wood, I'm healthy enough to do this. I'm going to keep doing it. And luckily in our music, the older generations of musicians, if you think about it, are always around. They don't go away. They don't go away. Lipa Brena is still killing it.
Killing it.
She's 60 years old, 56 years old, whatever she is. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, hopefully. So
yeah, for sure. And I'll be hiring you for my daughter's stuff too. So let's get into some fun stories now.
Yes.
You and I were chatting about this yesterday. We're kind of, what should we talk about? What should we? We have a lot of good stories, and one that I love was when I first got into. I got to say, my first real experience. So back in the old days of I want to say the old days, like maybe the silver age, I should say, because there was an older age, the silver age of the local ethnic scene. There were a lot of great social clubs, church groups. Everybody was out. Everybody was making a lot of great stuff. There were so many things happening. It was fantastic. Every weekend there was 2-3 events each Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's not even including the weddings, other stuff that we would crash. Wedding crashing back.
Crashing wedding, that's a whole different story, man.
That's a whole different story. But I got into MDP, which was a great local social club. Shout out to all my MDP folks. Great social club that I was a part of. Had a lot of fun. Helped kind of work through organizing some events, like the graphic design guys. So I was helping some of the folks do, the graphic design on the events and stuff. And then we had this opportunity. I was online one day because I'm really good at finagling my way into talking my way into situations way bigger than I am, and as you can tell right now, and so I'm messaging around, and people may remember a very famous, no one's gonna forget, a very famous Macedonian singer, young guy, Tose Proeski, one of the greatest, if not the greatest Macedonian singer, one of the greatest of all of the Balkans, just an incredible voice, opera trained. He beautiful talent, and he unfortunately passed away in 2000. I don't think it was 2007. He had passed away somewhere in 7 or 8. Yeah, so we lost him at a very young age. But he was in town, and he was really popular. And I thought, I'm curious. I'd like to see when he's coming to the U.S. if he's ever planning on doing a tour here. So here I am, tuck, 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 this is my keyboard, tuck, 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 hop on his website, send an email, and I said, hey, my name is Dalibor, I'm from the Detroit area in the U.S., would love to see if you guys are going to be coming to the U.S. anytime soon. Got a message back from his manager within like 3 hours. Now I sent the email at like maybe 4 in the afternoon our time. No, I'm sorry, 7 in the afternoon our time, which is like what, 1 o'clock in the morning Macedonia time. Within 3 hours, so 4 o'clock in the morning their time, they reply back and he said, "We'd love to come to the U.S. Will you set this up for us?" I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. What I meant was, are you coming? But now that you got me roped in, what can I do to help? Well, one thing led to another. People started getting in contact with each other. Next thing I know, I get a phone call from someone, this nice young man to right there, that says, "Hey, Dalibor, there's going to be a few stories that come out of this one.
Yeah,
hey, Dalibor, I got Tose with me right now, and we're going to a restaurant. You want to join us?" And I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, what?"
11 o'clock at night. Remember, 10:30 at
11
night.
o'clock at night. What was the restaurant name?
Tuscany.
Tuscany Grill. Yep.
Tuscany Grill.
It was over in Rochester area.
Yep.
Great guys. I love the family that ran that place.
Absolutely.
Yep. And so you messaged me and said, "Hey, we'll get there and we'll come on over. We got Tose here." So I showed up there and I'm like sweating bullets and I'm like, "Tose, it's nice to meet you." And he was quiet, because superstar, quiet, wanted to save his voice because I think he had a gig that he was doing in Canada the next day or something like that.
Actually, what it was I had gotten, just to rewind a little, I had gotten a call. "Hey, we're on the expressway.
Oh, that's right.
We're coming to Detroit.
That's what it was. Yes.
We want to go somewhere to eat." And they didn't tell me it was Tose Proeski, his manager, his security guard, his girlfriend, and the full band.
Yeah.
2 vanfuls of people. So that's when I called you and I'm like, all right, they're on I-75 and like Metro Parkway.
Yeah.
10 o'clock at night, where do I take? And luckily I called Tuscany, like you said, great people, they were great people at the time that owned the restaurant, friends of ours. And I said, "Can we come in for dinner with Tose Proeski?" And I heard the phone drop, I think. Definitely heard the phone
They
drop.
probably didn't believe you at first.
And then that's when I got a hold of you and I said, "Meet me at Tuscany Grill. I know you were involved in."
Yep.
And like you said, we walk in and the gentleman that worked there at the time, some of the younger guys that knew who he was, were dumbfounded.
It was unbelievable. When they were white, I still remember to this day, they were pitch white. They're like, "I can't believe Tose is really here." Like, for those that don't know who Tose was, and my daughter was too young, obviously, she was born after. He was essentially like Drake or Bruno Mars, like that level, if not higher.
Ricky Martin of the Balkans.
The Ricky Martin of the Balkans. Not a dancer though. He didn't dance at all, but and he loved rock music. He sang a lot of pop, but a lot of rock influence, and they loved rock music. You and I, every time we spoke to him, it was always about, you'd hear all this great rock influence. He loved the 80s. He loved Whitesnake.
Absolutely.
It's
crazy because literally from the time we got there, we sat down and luckily you got to talk with him because his manager grabbed me and said, "All right, listen, we're going to New York tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're meeting with Sony Records. And can you book us a flight? Can you help us book a flight? Find us a hotel." I found him a hotel. They stayed in that night. Driving to the airport the next morning, I believe you did as well. I think
I picked them up, and that'll be a fun story afterwards. We'll continue.
So all that was like, and this is like, to me, it was like, "Hey, help, do this for us." And this, like you said, this guy's a legend. This is someone we look up to and someone we love to this day and love his music and still play his music and listen to his music. And to have them ask for help, I'm about to bust out a tear here. It's like,
it was unbelievable.
Because I went from sitting at my house at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night to driving around with, one of the number one artists, legendary artists ever come out of our culture. And we are driving to a restaurant in Rochester Hills. They made us, hey, you got to admit, we had kebabchina and plaskavice.
Unbelievable. They were yummy.
They did it the way we were supposed to do it. And next thing I know, I'm driving to a hotel to drop them off. There's
a picture of Tose right there for the folks that are.
And everybody knows that you do get mistaken for him once in a while.
So. Every once in a while, I'll get mistaken for Tose. That was pretty funny.
Drove him to a hotel. Actually, it was I remember it was a hotel out in on the east side, way on the east side, close to 94. So you can pick him up first thing in the morning, jump on the expressway and fly. He had to fly out, and then the next day when you came back, I took him to music stores and took him around. And then next thing I know is your story. I think you took him to.
Well, it's funny because so here's you told me your viewpoint, your vantage point. Here was my vantage point. So I get this call, and you're like, "Hey, Dalibor, Tose is here. You want to come meet him?" I'm like, oh shit. And I'm thinking, I've got to work tomorrow. Is Tony pulling my leg?
Yeah, it was like a Tuesday night, I think.
Yeah, it was like a Tuesday night. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. Actually, I think you were driving, right? Whatever it was. You were, yeah. No, why don't you, no, definitely. Why don't you come out and meet us? No, I think, no, Dalibor, no, you really need to come meet us at Tuscany, girl. You're like, basically, I need your help. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to leave you hanging. Plus, it's Tose. I get over there, I zip over there, and we're, we walk in, and there he is sitting over there. I'm like, oh my God. And you're like, hey, yeah, exactly that. You're like, I think her name was Liliana.
Liliana, yep.
Liliana, his manager. Liliana needs me to talk to him. Needs me to talk to me about something. Why don't you talk to Tose for a little bit? I'm like, okay. And everybody's like avoiding him because everybody's afraid to talk to him. So I sit down. I'm like, hey, Kakosi, I Civikam Dalibor. I was stuttering, like everything was like mixing up in my head, language, everything was unbelievable. And I'm like, he's like, hi Dalibor, how's it going? I'm like, okay, thank God he speaks English. And so we're chatting a little bit, just a little bit. The dude loved video games. People don't know that. He had his PlayStation with him. He had I think it was a PSP, whatever.
For the hotel room.
He had his game system with, and he, instead of going out, because all of us kept saying, hey, Tosha, do you want to go out in the town? Want us to show you Detroit? No, I'm going to stay and play PlayStation a little bit. Okay. And he had his laptop with him, and he was playing games. Anyway, so we were, so I sat next to him, and we chatted a little bit, and I'm like, wow, cool. And then we took him to the hotel at that point. And I remember in the hotel, in the elevator, it's you and I, and then like his girlfriend and me, and like his bouncer. Everybody was, they were all really the bouncer with the long hair.
Yeah.
We kept calling him the boy toy, yeah.
Yep.
And he's just like belting out songs in the elevator. I'm like, this is unbelievable. So yeah, it was crazy. Tosha goes out, like you said, the next day he flies out to New York. He was doing Sony Records. He was doing some vocal training with like a famous vocal musician over there. I get a phone call a couple days later because he was coming to tour. We were helping arrange, you and I, MDP, a few other folks, were helping to arrange like the part of the Midwest leg of his tour because he was going to do, I think, Detroit, Indiana, Chicago, Cleveland, and then New Jersey. So he had a few, and I think we were helping out with Detroit and Indiana and a little bit in Chicago. I know like Spaz and those guys were helping in Chicago and other parts of it. So, and we really made it a local thing. We said we don't want to step on anybody's toes locally, so we'll handle Detroit. Spazdak, Sam Kappa still handles Chicago. We'll all kind of handle Indiana, and then, go off from there. And so I get this phone call from you on a Wednesday morning, Thursday morning. And you're like, hey, Dalibor, Tosha's flying in today. He'll be landing like around 10. Can you go pick him up from Metro? I'm like, and I was driving to work. I'm like, all right, which flight? Okay, sounds good. I pull over. I call up my boss. I'm like, I'm sick. Boss is like, all right, no problem. And so I get back on the road, and I drove to my father-in-law's place. I'm like, okay, there's 4 of them that are coming in. My car had this dinky little Pontiac vibe. Yeah, there was 4 of them and their equipment. And I'm like, okay, I can't carry, they're not going to fit my car. Let me stop by my father-in-law's place, pick up my girlfriend to come with me, stop at my father-in-law's place, and I'm going to get his future father-in-law, I should say, and get his minivan. So he had this old minivan. Pick up his van, picked up my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, beautiful wife, and driving back to pick up Tosha. We get Tosha. And his hotel, he was staying at, it was over in like 16 and like Stevenson and 14, the area. There was, I forget the name of the hotel that's over there, but he was staying over there because he was going to be playing at St. Mary's the next day at the Massillon Cultural Center. Pick him up, and like I'm waiting there in the, in downstairs in the freaking, we get in the car, we're driving. We decide to stop and get some lunch. And we're getting lunch at Oakland Mall. For the folks in the Detroit area, we're pulling into Oakland Mall. I'm like, this is the only thing open because it still quite wasn't 11 o'clock yet, or 11:30, where a lot of the stuff would, like lunch stuff would open 11:30 at the time. So this was probably around 10:55 at this point. And we're pulling in, and I noticed something kind of different. And I'm like, this car's not feeling quite right. What's going on here? Pull into Oakland. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the engine just starts smoking like crazy. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, everybody out of the car. Here I am with the international superstar in the car with me. I'm like, everybody out of the car. Pop open the hood, and I'm staring at this. I'm like, out of all days that this engine would blow, it had to be today with Tose in the car. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going? This can't be happening. So Tose comes out. He comes out. He walks over to the car because he knew a little bit about cars, supposedly. He walks over to the car, looks at the car, looks at me, looks back at the engine, looks back at me and says, Dalibor, I know what's wrong. I go, what is it? Maybe he can help me. What is it? He's like, looks like it's broken. And then walks back in their car. I'm like, shit. But go inside, get yourself some food. Yep. We all went inside. They got food. And it had just overheated. So thankfully, it's all it was. But, man.
And that's the kind of things that you remember, the story.
You remember those things, you know. And I still remember us hanging out with him and and you were kind of handling the backstage stuff at the Macedonian Cultural Center. I was handling some of the front stage stuff, and it was an unbelievable concert. Man, it was the old days.
It's amazing, and unfortunately, that's where again you helped me out because I couldn't make it down to Indiana for the show.
Yeah, that's true. So I ended up going. Yep.
Yeah, you ended up going. I was only up here, and it was the first time we saw, I think, a Macedonian rock star type performance where it wasn't wedding music and everyone loved it.
Everybody loved it.
The hall was full. It was at our new hall at the time. It just opened, I believe, not too long before that. It was a rock concert that no one had ever seen, I think. And it like the guy sold out, stadiums, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Here we are at the Macedonian Culture Center.
In a banquet hall that maybe fits technically 1,000 if you want to break all the rules.
1,000 with no corona, man. We're all like
in the old days, when people were like that. And I still remember Dino Merlin was performing that same night in Detroit. We like crazy times. The two mega stars. Dino Merlin was a great singer as well. And so we had these two stars. And then I remember Tose was still going. Dino Merlin's concert had ended. Dino Merlin ended up showing up at the Tose concert. It was just unbelievable. It was just
it was something we'll remember for the rest of our lives, and we can sit around for 30 minutes talking about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because again, his music's never gonna die, and just the stories and like the funny pictures backstage you guys took in Indiana, and he was such a nice guy and willing to take a picture with you, again, joke around with you, and very quiet and just mellow, and it was really cool, man. It was just a cool time of our lives.
Yep. Katarina says one of the best concerts. It totally was. Totally. I remember it today. I remember it today.
I wish there was.
You took him into the church, remember? Because first of all, you and I were hanging out because he needed to get some Shure microphones, right? Because there were some mic. I still remember. I remember today. You're like, no, he wants some Shure mics because he didn't have his mic with him. That's his favorite kind of mic. So I go get that, and he wants to go to the church for a little bit to pray before the concert. So cool. Very religious guy, yeah. It was and a great guy. But man, we'll never forget those times.
Think about that. We took him literally from a mega superstar. He is a mega superstar. To Shelby Township. I took him in Music Box on 23 and Van Dyke to buy microphones because that's my buddy. You know what I mean?
Our backyards. Basically, he hung out in our backyards.
He hung out with us, and he was cool with that. He didn't want to be. He wasn't about the glamour and the glitz and. He was very, humble, and that's what made him a superstar. He was extremely humble, extremely, gave a lot of donation of his time and his effort into good things. And again, I have a poster somewhere of that night, of somewhere he signed it, and it's something we'll take with us,
yes,
to the grave, actually. So,
for sure, yeah.
So,
but I mean, rest in peace, Tose. We're gonna miss him forever. Obviously, the music lives on, and there's still like. You can go out. I recommend buy all of Tose's music if you can. But we're gonna move on because we're getting close to running out of time here. Surprisingly, we could talk for like hours. Just
absolutely, people would get sick of us quickly.
I want to do a couple of things here. One, I wanted to ask about. Obviously, right now it's after Easter. Easter is kind of the spring point. Before Easter, there's a lot of folks. There isn't a ton of. There's weddings. There's things happening, but there aren't as many. Easter is kind of the point where going forward, you have all the spring and summer wedding stuff. Right. Every background, every background is like this. The wedding season essentially starts with Easter, more or less. Right. Things have been different right now. Obviously, you and I were talking yesterday. I mean, and I've even had events postponed. I've had some events canceled. Not weddings have been canceled. Other types of events have canceled. And you were telling me that things have, obviously the same thing. I mean, a lot of stuff is getting shifted around right now. What's it been like for you?
Well, all of May, obviously, basically had to reschedule. And it's very difficult because you're not just talking about calling me and saying, hey guys, we're moving our wedding to another day. You got the hall, you got every vendor you have to switch. You have, thank you, Maya. Everything had to move. You know what I mean? You're talking about rescheduling so much, and basically all of May and most of June, I believe, at this point has been rescheduled. I was supposed to be at a wedding tonight, and it's unfortunate, but let's hope we come out of this as better people, a little more respective. I don't know how many people are. We talked about this last night. You know, our tradition of taking a bill and posting a bill on someone's forehead.
That's like there's a lot of contact. We drink from the same bottles, right? The bottle of cognac will go by and everyone's pounding it.
Absolutely.
What's gonna change now, right?
Maybe that's what's keeping most of us healthy. And before we start, it is funny. It is funny. Maybe we've grown immune to it. Before we go there, let's, unfortunately, you know, rest in peace to a lot of people that we've heard of and know in our culture that have passed away from this. You know, it's scary. Every day we heard of someone we know passing away from it. And here we are talking about in a few months, we got to get 500, 600, 700 people together in one place for a wedding. If everything goes well, we're looking at July to be the month to really where everything's picking up. I have all our weddings kind of rescheduled to July, June.
Hey, Tony.
Speaking of a vendor, July, June, August, September, October are going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even Thursday, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and some Thursdays every weekend are going to be weddings and events. So unfortunately, we're underneath the pressure of what's going to happen. We don't know. You know what I mean?
We don't know.
Next week, they could say, hey, guess what? No one's doing nothing until, anything until September. You know what I mean? Nothing until September. So that's another 100 weddings we got to reschedule. So 2021 might be the year. We are under right now. We are under an umbrella of we don't know what's going to happen. We just have to hope for the best, enjoy life like this, and hopefully everything can get back to some sort of normal. You know what I mean? Hi, sweetheart.
Hi.
It's gonna be real interesting. And you and I were even talking about how live music on things like Facebook. This show started, the one that we're doing right here, because we got bored. Eliana and I got bored one night and said, we got a captive audience. Let's play for them. Let's talk for them. Because I saw some folks playing guitar online. Obviously, it's different with drums, right? Drums, you can't quite get those same audio cues in a house, right? Unless you're in a recording studio, but even then. And so we've been able to get a captive audience. I know some folks are trying, we've been DJing or just doing talk shows or playing some other types of music or singing. And do you have you started dabbling in that yet? Or you're still kind of tweaking the setup?
We're getting together. We're the older group, the older band with less energy. So well, a couple of us in the band are at least. It's we don't want to put something out there if we're going to put it live on online that is just done just to do it. We're working on some things right now. Everyone's working on their part. I would say by the end of this week, something's going to be out there. And I'm trying to do something myself. You know how I do the percussion and DJing. I want to throw something out there online where people can enjoy themselves listening to dance music and a little live percussion. So that's coming this week as well. It's getting everything together. And, unfortunately, kids' toys have taken over my basement. So thanks, Tony. So I'm going to be out in my garage studio, doing everything soon this week. So hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have something good out.
That's awesome. And it's a technical hurdle for all of us right now. We were, a lot of folks just use a phone. We started with just a phone on our show, and now we've moved on to like just laptops and some other setups and stuff. But it's a learning process for everybody. And like you said, you don't want to put out something that's just I'm just going to play and the sound is muffled and his sound might be great and because it never quite matches that quality. And you guys are 5 stars for a reason.
5-star band. It's what I like to call. It's a collection of the best of the best. Hopefully, I'm not bragging. Hopefully, people support me on that. I think we're all the best at what we do. Obviously, my singer is a legend in his own right, and all the guys in my band are phenomenal. And we just, again, we love being here and traveling America and other places to to entertain at weddings and dances. Like I said, we were just 10-star. We just did a Serbian Bulgarian wedding in Phoenix at the end of January, and then a Macedonian wedding in California before all this started. I love being out there, love doing what we do, and yeah, we'll get something out this week. I don't want to make any promises, but hopefully we got something out this week.
Definitely. So you get a lot of great kudos, and for sure, the reason is strong behind it. You deserve all the praise and credit. Now, I see the drums behind you.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask.
Is there any way that you might want to wake up your kids with a little bit of sound coming through right now?
Like it, man. All right, we'll end it with a little tupan. How about that? So you wish everybody goodbye while I'm playing. How about that?
All right. So we're gonna do while Tony's getting ready. We're going to have our quick joke of the day. Eliana, what is your joke of the day?
Hold on, we need to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to do the while Tony's getting, okay. Let me set up I closed it. Let me set up the window right here so that everybody could see Eliana's joke of the day. I closed it I just shrunk the window down. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. This is, again, it's SVADBA Sunday. Now it's time for Eliana's joke of the day.
Did you hear about the guy who was fired from the keyboard factory?
Did I hear about the guy who was fired from the keyboard factory? No, why?
He wasn't putting in enough shifts.
He wasn't putting in enough shifts. That's good. This has been Eliana's joke of the day.
Do you have a Mac-lish word today?
I do not have a Mac-lish word. If you have any Mac-lish words for us, please send them along because I've run out of Mac-lish words. I need to start talking to my parents more often so I can get them, but I'll get you a Mac-lish word or two. All right? I'm sure there's plenty out there. Well, whenever you're ready, Tony, please go ahead.
Let's get out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Oh, I love it. We gotta go down. Money, I would stick it to the screen right now.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Take care. We'll see you on the next episode of
The Potato
That's
Show.
Delicious. We love you, everybody. Bye.
Good night.